uh, another thing is that people sometimes feel like they're stuck and that they're
Exactly.
not improving. That's exactly when you are improving because you have improved and you have your basically your brain has gotten up to a new intellectual level, so to speak. That's why it feels so uncomfortable for you because I see sometimes when people start learning language, they're so happy, like they've learned like 20
Right.
words in Korean and it makes them
Right.
so happy. But in reality, they're nowhere even near a place where they can not just speak, but I don't know.
Even use the language in any meaningful way, even to
Yeah,
understand
exactly,
things, right, or to
exactly.
say things, right?
They're
Yeah.
nowhere near that place, and although when they nearing that place, when they're getting closer and closer, it gives frustration because I don't know, it kind of the whole burden, you realize the burden, you realize the weight of this task, and you realize that there's much more to go than you expected in the beginning. So yeah, and that's something that I think is worth being pointed out
No, and
for
I
some people
appreciate that you
because I
appreciate.
know that the people tend to to stop learning at that point where they realize that well, there's too much learning basically.
Right. And I wanted to say, like, I appreciate that you pointed it out because that describes my feeling a lot with Japanese. I
Yeah,
feel like I'm in this never ending, like I'm learning here, I'm learning there, but I don't feel myself
exactly.
exactly leveling up, right? But in reality, I must be because
And
I
the
know more now
reality
than I did.
of learning
Mm.
English, if you want, of learning a language, a foreign language, if you want to take it seriously, is that constant hurt and pain, because you can never reach the level where you can sort of think about yourself as a professional or uh, a speaker who can be relaxed and sort of and speak in that nonchalant manner. Literally, just speak like you do in your native language. You will never reach that point, never, and therefore it's a permanent hurt.
Exactly. And basically, I'm always in pain. Oh, right. Is what you're saying, mentally, right, and emotionally. But and it's kind of interesting because
Yeah,
like I met one student. I've met a couple of students who, if I didn't know they were students, I would have thought they were native speakers, right? So I've met a couple, right? So I
yeah,
personally would class them as C2, right? Uh, but because that, and the thing is, even so, I had this Chinese guy who had this practically flawless Australian accent, and in the 40 minutes or so that we talked, he made one pronunciation slip up, one, and that was the only mistake he made in the whole 40 minutes.
that was a
I
dead giveaway.
no, what I'm saying there is, because he said this much that he's not a native speaker. The point
Yeah,
is that the point is there's no such thing as perfection, but there is such a thing as getting close to that 100%, right? You can go from 99.9 to 99.99 to 99.999. You can keep adding. You will never reach the 100% because even native speakers
right.
make slip ups and stuff, right? But I do think there is a not exactly perfection, but what would look like perfection, but although it's not real perfection, so pseudo perfection, that does exist, and I think that is worth. The biggest problem or the biggest mistake is not like feeling comfortable, feeling that you don't need to improve or that you don't need to improve meaningfully, right? That is, I feel, the biggest mistake. You do need to feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
and at the same time, you need some kind of sanctuary from the constant pain that you're getting when you're constantly trying to learn. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that is a good strategy in the long run. You don't you need to relieve that pain somehow, that burden. So the process of learning must be fun, and it's a psychological problem in in its at its heart, and you have to find a way of dealing with it. So I would definitely another piece of advice I would want to give is that yeah, there has to be a trade-off between, sort of this struggling type of learning and the fun type of learning, because it has to be sort of it has to gravitate towards the fun type, but there will be struggles anyway. But yeah, make your learning as fun as possible.